Okay, so now the Resident Evil 1 remake is supposedly coming and everyone is talking about it. I do want to make a video today talking about what I am looking forward to with it, what I am looking forward to going back and revisiting in a remake style, as well as things I think a remake of the first game could improve upon or change in some ways. A lot of that stuff is kind of my personal preference, so not everyone's going to agree, but I won't be mentioning like gameplay and controls, mainly because I think most likely scenario is that the remake of 1 will play like the remake of 2 and 3. But I could be wrong, but I'm not going to cover that today. This is going to be more features and changes outside of main gameplay. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so I have a lot of praise for the game, not just the remake, but the original version as well. I've played the originals a fair bit, and I've played the remake of the original game a fair bit. And I've got to say, straight out the gate, I much prefer, and some people probably know this already, I much prefer the gameplay elements tied to the original trilogy. It's there in Code Veronica, it's there in 0, and it's there in 7, and that is the limited inventory item box system. I much prefer that to how like 4, 5, and Village do things, mainly because it makes you think more. You know, that first playthrough, and I think this is the case for everybody, you pick up everything. You want to know where it goes, you want to kind of keep hold of it, and then you end up putting it in a box. Eventually you figure it out, and it's great, because you know where it goes now. But then on consecutive runs, it's like, okay, I know I need this here and this there, so I'll leave this where it is, come back for it, save myself the inventory slot, and pick it up later when it's needed. And that's what I really like about those games, because you can refine the run a lot more. And don't get me wrong, I like Resident Evil 4, I like Resident Evil Village, but the key items kind of just go in the random inventory, you don't see them, you don't have to manage them, and I don't know. It's good for convenience, because those games are more action focused, so it makes sense that the inventory is more kind of made for ammo and guns, but yeah, I just prefer being able to kind of figure out where things go, find out where they are, and kind of just know when and when not to use them. So that's one thing. Also, I guess limited saving comes under that as well. One thing I really liked with 7 when it came out, especially Madhouse, is it did kind of bring back the limited saves through a item you needed to find, and Madhouse was just a great difficulty, and it was such a lackluster, kind of, it was really disappointing actually with Village when Village Shadows came out, and it was nothing like Madhouse. Like Madhouse changed, item spawns it changed, enemy spawns it changed, you know, where things were. It was really well done, and you had like the limited saves as well through the cassette tapes, which was really cool. But Village had none of that, so it was definitely a downgrade. But limited saving through an item is also pretty cool, because again, it comes under management of inventory and kind of keeping them and knowing when to save and when not to save, and then you can kind of, as you get better at the game, you can space your saves out because you're more confident, and it saves more spaces, saves more saves. So it's very good. I like that a lot. Next up, it goes without saying, characters that are in the original game coming back in a remake fashion. So you've got obviously Chris and Jill as the main two, Wesker as well as the main villain, and it'd be awesome to see their story again in a remake. But you also got Rebecca and Barry, who haven't been in a game for a long time, and I think having a remake version of those characters is going to be really cool, and it'll be really good to see what they're like in a remake compared to the original. And it's been a long time since these characters have been in the games. There was rumours maybe a year or two ago that a Revelations type game is coming out, and it was going to focus on Rebecca, but it never happened. It's not a thing anymore as far as I'm aware. But yeah, having these characters come back after such a long time would be awesome, and I don't think anyone's going to complain about seeing all these really classic characters again in a remake. And then one final little thing that is something I'm just looking forward to going back to with the remake before we get into what I want to see, is just going back to fighting zombies. Like, I like that the series kind of branched out from them eventually, and really they introduced like the Ganados and the Lycans and the Molded and whatever else. It was good, it was fresh, but going back to zombies again would be really cool. I know it hasn't really been that long, obviously we've got the 2 and 3 remakes, but going back to zombies would be such a relief. I don't know what 9 is going to be like in terms of enemies. If that goes back to zombies as well, that'd be awesome. I doubt it. I actually got a feeling it won't happen. But either way, the original game, the original enemy, very much looking forward to that combination in a remake. So let's get into what I think the game would benefit from quite well. And yeah, again, this is all opinion based, so feel free to disagree and leave your own thoughts in the comments, but here we go. First things first, I think, personally, keep the horror as it is, or increase it in some way. And I'm not talking like Resident Evil 7 jump scares around every corner type horror, but if you go back a few years and you look at Resident Evil 7, the game was scary. Like, I don't really find horror games that scary anymore. Like, I've just played too many of them to really kind of have it bother me. But there are a lot of people out there that thought Resident Evil 7 was a bit too scary. In fact, they toned down Village specifically for that reason, that they actually said they think Resident Evil 7 was too scary, and it threw people off, which I don't think is the case, but again, it's more of a personal kind of feeling towards the game. And I think more horror in a game that's already scary would be really good. I think Resident Evil 2 Remake did it really well with kind of introducing that constant pursuer type, and I don't think that would work in this game at all. In fact, I'm quite sick of pursuer types in these games. I've made a video about it before, but more horror focus would be really, really good. In terms of how they'd probably do that, I'm not too sure. Off the top of my head, I'd probably say add sections in, or change sections at least. Maybe in the same kind of vein as the Benevito house from Village, or the old house from 7, where it's like no weapons, and you have to kind of deal with the situation by solving puzzles or seeing things, and maybe there is some kind of like monster in that section. Kind of maybe integrate Lisa Trevor into the game in that way, where it's not a pursuer type enemy that doesn't follow you around everywhere, and it never was in the remake of the game, but maybe make a section dedicated to that character and make it a bit more horror focused. I think that'd be pretty cool. But again, for anyone who didn't know, Lisa Trevor isn't in the original game. It was added in the remake, so it's kind of 50-50 as to whether that story beat will be in another remake of the game, but we'll see. And this one goes without saying, but obviously voice acting, that'll probably get an upgrade anyway, but from the original game to the remake, it's not the best. It's better in the remake, no doubt, but it's not the best still. And it's part of the charm of the original game. I definitely think that, like, it's just, you think of Resident Evil and you think of the lines they say, and it is funny, but going off of current remakes, there'll be a more serious tone, which means a lot of those cheesier lines will probably be cut, and I'd imagine the voice acting will be a bit more polished, we'll say. I wouldn't be surprised if they use a lot of the voice actors they currently have for certain characters, but we'll see. Again, I can't really speak for that, but I think an improvement in the kind of dialogue will definitely be a welcome addition. Another thing, I think this is more of an elitist thing to say, and someone's probably going to grill me for this, but don't make the puzzles easy, please. Keep them how they are or make them harder. Like, one thing with Village that I absolutely was really gutted by is those puzzles were so easy, like stupidly easy, and I don't know why. Like, there was no effort to them. I think there was one in the DLC for Village that was fine. It wasn't hard at all, but it was better than the ones in the main game. But just make them good again, make them hard, make them take time to figure out. That's just me. I just missed that in these games. And then kind of in terms of replayability, the remake we have has a lot of that. It has obviously your easy, normal, hard difficulties. You've got real survivor mode, which is a hard difficulty where the iron boxes aren't linked. So you have to kind of make sure you're keeping things with you at all times that you need, or you have to do a lot of backtracking. Makes enemies harder. It's a lot of fun. And then you've got invisible enemy mode, which sounds exactly like you think it is. It makes every enemy invisible, and that's a lot of fun to do as well. So definitely keep those in. Definitely keep, I see no reason why they wouldn't, but definitely keep the two campaigns separate, so Chris and Jill. Maybe make more changes between them. I know there are decent changes between the two already, and I really like the changes between them. Such as how you deal with certain bosses and certain doors and routes you can take that you can't go down as other characters. It's very well done. And then just maybe throw in some bonus modes, you know, more replayability. Mercenaries, for example, you know, make stages in the mansion, make stages in the labs. Let me play as Chris or Jill or Wesker or Rebecca or Barry. There's plenty of options for characters. And then maybe even ghost survivors from Resident Evil 2 Remake, you know, alternate timelines where characters may survive, and, you know, let people play as the other S.T.A.R.S team members that go in and die, but give them an alternate ending that is obviously not canon, but see how things play out. It'd be pretty cool to see that. So, plenty of options for bonus modes. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. That's kind of my own thoughts on what I can't wait to see come back, and as well as that, what I would like to see come back. So as always, if you agree or not, do let me know. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I do try and post Resident Evil content every day. And yeah, thank you for watching. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.